NXT post show and the latest information on how the coronavirus is affecting the world of wrestling. Could this affect WrestleMania? We will let you know and let you know everything that's actually real. No misinformation. Let's cover it all. WrestleZone! What's up, everybody? I'm Kevin Kellam, once again with you in NBC Tower in downtown Chicago, which I have wiped down with an excessive amount of Lysol. So we'll get into all of it here today. And I want to be clear here. I want to be clear before we start the show. Everything we're going to tell you is legitimate information. We don't want any misinformation out there. We don't want to run into the hills with conspiracy theories. We've heard them all. We're going to talk about the very serious real-life situation of coronavirus and how that could be affecting the world of wrestling, and give you the latest information that we have as we go on air with it. If this is WrestleZone Daily. If you're with us live, don't forget to share the link and pass it on to your friends. If you know someone who could be attending WrestleMania, this is an episode they may want to check out. So pass that on to them. Joining me from the WrestFriends blog, and podcast, Teti Chavez is with us. Teti, how are you? You watched AEW tonight. We'll cover that in a little bit.
Yes, I'm good. How are you?
I'm well. I've checking all my vital signs. I am well. I thought I was coming down with something yesterday, but I'm fine.
Oh no.
You know, seasonal stuff. This is the time of year where everyone gets sick. You know, so I think everyone needs to calm down a little bit. Okay.
Yeah, I think so too.
Everyone needs to calm down a little bit. But this is a very real life situation that's affecting a lot of different people. So we'll get into all of it here. We will talk about that. So here is what we know at this time. Obviously, you know WrestleMania is going to be in Tampa Bay, Florida. I have tickets to it, Teddy. And I know you've attended big wrestling events. It's a big pilgrimage. Every wrestling fan, even if I don't even think you can love WWE, you got to go to at least one WrestleMania, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
If you have the opportunity, you got to go. So obviously, as everyone gets worried about large mass gatherings for any type of entertainment or any type of convention, anything, this has become more and more of an issue just to kind of stem the spread of it here. We both watched two different wrestling shows tonight, and in the middle of that, the president of the United States did an address from the Oval Office stating that there will be no travel from the continent of Europe with the exception of the United Kingdom for the next 30 days. That could severely affect the amount of people that could attend WrestleMania.
Oh, yeah.
Now, there's certainly a lot of fans from the UK that could attend, so there's just ramifications on that are endless that we don't even have the ability to cover right now. Also, there is highly limited travel right now from Asia and Japan, where some flights are highly reduced. So that affects the amount of travel you can get from that region of the world. So that's kind of what we know right now, and that's very easily accessible information. Compounding that are major sports and entertainment events that are also postponing, rescheduling, or making severe changes to how they're going to present their events. The NCAA basketball tournament coming up, March Madness, will have no fans in attendance. One of the biggest sporting events of the year, stretch out over weeks, will have no fans in attendance. Compacting that, the NBA is suspending their entire season for the 2020 year for the foreseeable future until they can monitor the situation closely. I was told through friends here that a game with the Utah Jazz was stopped right before the tip-off. So that's affecting everything. Coachella, one of the largest music festivals. We know the Coachella girls. Like, they always have to post on Instagram and tell them, I went to the wine country and I didn't pay attention to any bands. I was here to have my picture taken. But a huge musical event nonetheless. It has been postponed to October. So these are huge events. So the pressure has been mounting over the past couple of days, obviously on social media and everywhere, Teddy, that WrestleMania could be affected. Now, WWE last week said they are in communication with tourism officials and city officials in Tampa Bay about what to do next and follow CDC guidelines, World Health Organization guidelines. Mind you, the WHO announcing today that this is officially a pandemic, but it does not change anything and should not create any more panic, just more a technical abbreviation for it. There's some good news about the coronavirus and how it's being controlled. Here in Chicago, you and I read the news today that the St. Patrick's Day parades were canceled this weekend, which is a pretty big deal in Chicago.
Pretty big deal.
And there's probably something where you are that have forced the cancellation of this. People texting in about NBA being canceled here. Your best friend Iridian also watching the show.
WrestFriends.
So what do you think here? This is a pretty tense situation.
Man, I don't know. It's crazy. I didn't think it was going to get this crazy, to be honest with you. I wasn't taking it as serious. And now that they're canceling all these big, huge events or postponing them, I'm like, wow, I don't know what to think.
Already people thinking it's a conspiracy theory. No, it's not. And other people with different takes on this too. And people have too much worry on their minds. This is all just a bunch of BS. All those different things that you guys are texting in here. So we're going to cover this with real information, what we know. So what we've learned in the past 24 hours is that the mayor of Tampa Bay, Jane Castor, is indeed meeting with city officials tomorrow about how to handle quote-unquote major events. This is coming from Ryan Bass of CBS Tampa, a local source there that is official. He tweeted this out. And it's a developing situation. Now, obviously, many people in wrestling media are speculating on how this could happen. I cannot say officially, but I've heard word from talent and other businesses associated with WWE that there is some concern about how this event could be rearranged. Now, that's what we know speculatively. Right now, is WrestleMania off? No, it is still on. But would WWE be in a bad spot if they continue to move forward with this event?
I think so. I definitely think so. Yeah.
And just because of I don't want to say mass hysteria over this, because I don't think we're at that point. But it's definitely something where I feel if they did it, it would be a bad look. I think I think WrestleMania will happen. Will it happen at Raymond James Stadium with 80,000 people in attendance? That's up in the air right now. I really feel that's up in the air. And I don't think I'm putting any misinformation out right now. Right now, what we know is WWE says they're doing it, and they're following all the guidelines they can. And there's other wrestling. Obviously, there's plenty of other events before we even get to WrestleMania. They're going to be affected by this. Your small-scale independent events. What is this going to do to WrestleCon? WrestleCon is the biggest non-WWE convention. They are polling fans online and having a transparent discussion about it. Do you think WWE should be doing that? Do you think they should be talking to fans about this, even though they don't know? Because I think they would just spread too much misinformation. WrestleCon, smaller scale event. They kind of have more of a direct fan-to-fan conversation. WWE, there's such a mass audience with different levels of people using social media. People could run to the hills with what they think of it. What do you think is going to happen here?
Man, I don't know. I feel like if they don't cancel it, Vince McMahon's definitely going to get a lot of heat. They're going to be saying, oh, he doesn't care about his fans. He doesn't care about his talent. But then obviously there's going to be those fans that are going to be very angry if they do cancel. So I feel like if I was him, I'd be, I don't know, I'd be in a pickle.
Yeah, I don't know. I have tickets to WrestleMania, and I don't see myself going at this point. And that isn't because of health issues. I just see something where I have a very nervous family that's gonna be like, don't go to Tampa Bay, don't get on a plane, don't do this now. And I wonder what different things you could do with it. Obviously, people spit out scenarios about what it does here, but let's see what fans are saying. People say just have WrestleMania in an empty stadium. We've seen empty arena matches before. The Rock and Mankind. I saw people tweeting plenty about that. Yeah. Would you want to watch WrestleMania in an empty stadium? Would that make it less appealing for you? And what's wrestling like without the crowd reaction? How do we know who to approve? Like, what would that? It would be interesting, but would that be entertaining for an entire night of wrestling?
I feel like not everyone can pull off what Mankind and The Rock pulled.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And other people are just saying. Miguel saying McMahon don't care about the heat. McMahon don't care about the heat. Well, here's the thing. I don't think Vince McMahon is the only one who's going to be involved in this decision.
It's true.
I know everyone just thinks, oh, Vince runs WWE. Vince is a guy who is at the top of WWE, but he's at the top of a board. There's a lot of other people that have impressions about this. I also think, this is just the timing. We could be in the summer, and this isn't nearly as much of an issue. But if you're doing anything now in the spring for the foreseeable future, and this is within the foreseeable future, it's less than a month away, and it's not the only event they're running, then something else is going to happen here. There's going to be pressure on that. I also think Tampa, the city of Tampa, if they're having these type of meetings here, Mayor Jane Castor, you're going to see her in the news cycle tomorrow. There's some concern. Can we handle this event with those type of ramifications added to it? That's another thing, is like, can we handle the travel of bringing people in, and what happens if we have to do these massive quarantines? It's not just the virus itself, it's the precautions you have to take to even do an event under these circumstances now. So that's a whole other thing here. You know, so are we going to be able to get enough Uber and Lyft drivers out on the road? Are taxis going to want to do this? How are we going to handle this with public transit? There's a whole other thing here. You think this is weird? Imagine the discussions they're having about the Tokyo Olympics right now. So I don't know. People are saying it's all over a cold. Everyone's saying they're, you know.
I wish I was as calm as them.
Yeah, but people saying the summer season can't come any fast. We could sweat this thing out. You know, other people with that here. Oh man. Your rest friend Iridian, who's chiming in, said, my mom literally just told me not to go to any more wrestling shows. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. Mike Baker texting and saying, having WrestleMania in an empty arena, an empty stadium, is like having sex with a blow-up doll. It will never happen. It should never happen. Well, God bless you, Mike. You know, if you don't do that. You know, I never knew that a blow-up doll would be inserted in this conversation. Once again, the views of Mike Baker are not those of WrestleZone. Yeah, people bring up now there is some outbreak worry in Canada as well, and I think maybe that was expected. James Espanto Fernando Tagahal.
I love that.
James Espanto texting, what's difficult about this situation is that professional wrestling is a pseudo sport based on storylines, and they need to finish them based on how the storyline is laid out. Yeah, because like, what do we do? Like, if they have to postpone it, what happens to all the big WrestleMania matches? What like, do we say that they're on hold and then we're gonna do it in August? Like, they're in a very bad circumstantial situation. Oh, yeah. And also, if anyone gets mad at WWE for doing this, I'm just like, they don't control this. Like, this is true. Like, if they have to make this call, I really don't think the pressure should be on them. The pressure is on them right now, but I think it should be alleviated in some way. And I'll say this, I think you will get on April 6th, April 5th, you will get a WrestleMania. You will get a WrestleMania of some kind. You know, this is their biggest show of the year. Now, will this have 80,000 people at it? Right now, that is in doubt. And I don't think I'm unreasonable about that. I'm not trying to spread fear or anything like that. I'm just saying it's just the way things are, you know?
Yeah.
Jason Rodon saying, I have tickets for Mania as all. Emoji, the hand on the head, forehead emoji. Yeah, I bought ticket insurance on these, so I wonder.
Oh, nice.
Back, so, yeah. If you had tickets to WrestleMania, what would you do right now?
I think I'd still go. I'd go to Tampa. Maybe not WrestleMania, I don't know, but I think I'd still go to Tampa.
You would still go to Tampa just for the trip?
Yeah.
I mean, there's bound to be some wrestling shows, but
there has to be, yeah.
Yeah, there's WrestleMania takes over town, and independent wrestling kind of comes right behind it. So that's going to be another discussion. And once again, we're gonna cover this as this all develops, because this is very much a developing story. Something can change while we're on air right now.
Right, you're right.
And there was a part of me that was thinking, like, maybe WWE says something tonight on NXT. But when the show started, they did not. They kept pushing Rhea Ripley and Charlotte for WrestleMania. WrestleMania is in 25 days. That's where they kind of have things here. Other people saying they have tickets as well. Patrick J. Wilson saying, this virus could possibly linger into the summer months. So what becomes of other pay-per-views? What becomes of other events? You know, right now, that's very much up in the air. I would say that's very up in the air. It's a very fluid situation at this moment. I don't mean to bring up fluid, gross anyone out. But the reason I bring it up is who knows? This could be dealt with in some time. There is talk about how soon a vaccination process could be put in place, how long that will take, how quickly that could be distributed. So that's all a bunch of real news things. You know what real news I cover? The good guy and the bad guy are going to have a match in this ring, and they're going to pretend to fight, and you're going to cheer for the guy you like, because maybe you don't want to cheer for the good guy. And then we're going to argue about why the good guy didn't do the specific thing in your head that you thought that they should be doing on TV, and because it's fantasy booking, but they didn't do my fantasy booking, so I'm angry. And Vince McMahon is trying to suppress the things that I like that I say on the internet, which he's never doing that. And AEW is so much better, and blah 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 blah. Those are the conversations I should be having right now. Not, hey, wash your hands, you know. and I'm scared of everyone on the train I'm riding. Like it's kind of silly, but we get it.
It is, yeah.
And people saying, Kevin, did you change your smoke alarm? I believe it's over on your site, Teddy. We got this.
It is on my side. I'm sorry, everyone. And it's funny
It's okay.
because
It's an
I
alarm.
can't hear it.
It's okay. You get because when you had that one smoke alarm that doesn't stop going blip, you just get used to it. You just
No
channel it
way.
out. It's all
That's
right.
tripping me out. It's tripping me out.
Here. A lot of different people joining us here for the first time. If you are, this is WrestleZone Daily. You can subscribe to the podcast, WrestleZone Radio, 4 episodes every single week, available on TuneIn, iHeartRadio, iTunes, your favorite podcast apps, so Monday through Thursday. Plus, we have bonus interviews. We recently just interviewed, get this, Teddy, Jim Cornette is getting into a lot of trouble with people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Suing an independent wrestler who put out a T-shirt that disparages him.
Yeah.
We got to talk to both lawyers in the case. And so that's available. And, we got some legal drama. And that's available in the WrestleZone Radio podcast feed. Also, sit-down interviews with Chris Jericho, Lacey Evans, and Seth Rollins. You can check those out in the feed. Go check them out here. As we move along, get your comments on screen here. People saying, wash these hands. Yes, but Braun Strowman putting out a video promo saying, wash these hands instead of get these hands. So this is all a pretty crazy situation. Once again, we're reporting right now that currently WrestleMania is still on for April 5th as we speak to you here on the 11th of March. Maybe that situation could change as, once again, tomorrow, Mayor of Tampa, Jane Castor, is meeting with city officials about how to handle major events. It's worth noting major group events like the St. Patrick's Day Parade in downtown Chicago, Dublin, and Boston have been called off this weekend. So, as we move ahead, we'll continue to have you updated up to the minute at WrestleZone.com. Up to the minute at WrestleZone.com. Let's actually get into what's going on in the world of wrestling. You want to talk some wrestling?
Hell
I want
let's
to talk
some
wrestling.
wrestling.
You guys watching as well. What did you watch tonight? What did you like? It's Wednesday night, the best wrestling night of the week. WWE NXT was at the Performance Center. Where was AEW tonight?
Salt Lake City, Utah, I believe.
So, when I think wrestling, I think Salt Lake City, Utah. FOP. But what were your big takeaways from AEW tonight?
Ooh, some pretty big things happened tonight. Like, they finally had Lance Archer out there come out with Jake the Snake Roberts, which was really cool. I don't think he got the pop that I thought he was going to get. But also, I think people didn't realize that it was Lance Archer at first because he just came in during Cody's match with Ortiz. So I thought that was a little weird. Mm-hmm. But Lance Archer's out there, and he's Jake the Snake Roberts' client that he was talking about last week.
What did you think of Jake the Snake in this pairing with Lance Archer? I've heard a lot of fans say, "Oh, Jake the Snake's too tall to be with Lance Archer." Like that's always the thing. Like when you have a manager, your manager can't be as physically as imposing as you. You have to have like a tiny, scrappy, annoying person next to a big monster, like the archetype. But I'm okay with that. I immediately when I saw a clip of it. I did not get to see AEW, so that's one leading on you here. But what did you think? Did it something that strike you as, oh, they look foreboding, they look dangerous?
Oh, they look cool. They look pretty badass. Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now, what other developments? I understand one of the Bucks is on the shelf here coming up into the big blood and guts match between the Elite and the Inner Circle. Tell me about that.
So actually, they have a huge thing going on right now, the Elite with the Inner Circle. And the Inner Circle actually attacked Nick Jackson. He was like under this garage door bleeding, took him to the hospital. Cody and Kenny left with him. Oh, and Matt as well. So then later on at the show, they had a match. Was it Hangman Page and Dustin Rhodes versus Chris Jericho and Sammy Guevara? And they basically showed how it's going to be for that cage match.
Mm-hmm. What do you think of the cage match, the build here? Because, Inner Circle debut, they laid out the Elite, but they've kind of been separate from the Elite. Now we kind of have to throw those two factions back into a big war, this big cage match. Are you feeling the hype for it? Is it still there?
I am, because I still don't know where Hangman Page stands. I don't know. Okay. I don't know what's going to happen with Hangman Page and the Elite. So I am very, very, very into it, especially because the Inner Circle is annoying. I find them annoying, but in a good way, in an entertaining way.
Good annoying.
Yes, good annoying.
You enjoy doing it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right. So in-ring, AEW has a phenomenal amount of talent. What was the big match of the night for you?
Big match of the night. It was definitely that main event, but also the Death Triangle, which introduced last week, which is Pac and Pentagon Jr. and what can I remember his name? Ray Phoenix. I'm so sorry. Yes. And they call it the Death Triangle, aka El Triángulo de la Muerte in Spanish, versus Private Party and Joey Janela. I love that match. I thought it was great. I think Pac and the Lucha Brothers are doing amazing together. They're scary. I wouldn't want to go against them.
They're a good pairing. Do you think there's too many factions in general in AEW a little bit?
I do, which is why the rumor about them bringing a championship for factions, I don't know. I like it.
Then I'm okay with it. Like if you go in that direction and
yes.
you now have a championship, because they do a lot of 6-man matches, and I don't think 6-man matches are bad. I think like tag team matches on TV, people complain about too many tag team matches in WWE. I really enjoy them because it's fun. It's a way to do physical stuff, limit how many guys can still touch each other, guys and gals can still get into it. It's a good device to keep the story going, and AEW does a very, very good job with it. If they have like a 3-man championship, it's a bit really into me. I'm on the fence about it. If it's a tournament and it's like a trophy and they do it like maybe once or twice a year, then I'm okay with it. Then it's something. I'm kind of 50-50 on it though. But as a faction, they're coming off your good. What is something that maybe people may or may have not caught in the general realm of Dynamite that you're like, you know what, I love this. I don't know how everyone else feels about it. Because everyone has their own individual thing that they pick out and say, I don't know if everyone loves this, but I love this. You know, like Orange Cassidy is a very dividing issue. A lot of people like him. You know, there's plenty of different characters in AEW that some people don't feel and other people do feel. Who are you feeling that maybe other people are questioning?
You know what? I don't know. I'm not sure how people feel about Best Friends. I've recently become a huge fan of Best Friends with Orange Cassidy, like my best friend said right here. I know a lot of people don't like Orange Cassidy, but I feel like most AEW fans do like him. So I don't know. How do you feel about Best Friends and Orange Cassidy? Because I love them.
I think they're a fun group. It's a good pairing, especially because the Best Friends are so exuberant and they have big personalities. Obviously, they're all great wrestlers. But Orange Cassidy is like the #1 comedy act right now in wrestling. And no matter what anyone thinks, I think the AEW crowd. You went to Revolution.
I did.
You got a huge reaction. And the thing about Orange Cassidy and his history as Fire Ant and Chikara, this guy can still go. He can still really, really go. So the fact that he pulls it back and does this like so light style in a wrestling world that's so fast, bang, 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 boom, boom, full contact, him slowing it down almost in complete reverse. And that non-committal thing. The non-committal thing is funny because what is hip-hop and culture tell us right now? You should be really cool and it should look like you're not trying, right? You should be... You should look. You can rap a song. You can have another song. Bands make them dance. Bands make them dance. And like you can just mumble through a song and have a hit song. And Orange Cassidy can mumble into the ring and wear sunglasses and do all these things. There's a lot of cool elements he's doing. He's a very, very unique character, and I really enjoy it. But I can see where other people are like traditionalists and they can't have it. So you're feeling everything with AEW Dynamite this week.
The only thing I'm not feeling is the Bunny and the Butcher and the Blade. I can't get into those characters.
What turns you off? What turns you off?
I don't know. I don't know. I'm just not into it at all. Especially with the Bunny. I feel like Allie. I don't know. I'm not into it. That's it.
James Ross texting here saying that Big Swole, new signee from AEW, a lot of people high on her, and the Dentist, Britt Baker, had a great segment. Tell me about it.
They did. Britt Baker came out and gave Tony, I always butcher his last name, Tony Schiavone?
Tony Schiavone.
Schiavone.
Don't worry. You did that a very wonderful Spanish translation of Death Triangle. That sounds a lot cooler in Spanish than it does.
I think it sounds way cooler in Spanish.
What exactly is it again? I'll butcher it. What is it exactly again?
El Triángulo de la Muerte.
See, that sounds so much cooler than Death Triangle. Death Triangle sounds like a bad Chuck Norris movie. Oh, I'm watching Death Triangle. It's just like 80s action movie. What you said sounds romantic and dangerous at the same time.
It sounds so much cooler. I know.
It's okay. Don't worry about Yeah, people saying Big Swole killed Britt Baker on the mic, though. Tell me about it.
Yeah, so Britt was, just talking to the crowd, saying mean things about Salt Lake City, what every heel does. And it was actually really, really good. And then Big Swole came out and she just took over. She, like we say here, she treated Britt. Treated. I don't know, is that not a Chicago thing?
No, treated is a Chicago thing. Depending, it's more of a
Okay.
Southside Chicago thing, to be frank with
Oh,
you.
okay.
Treated.
That's exactly how we use it.
So, thumbs up episode of AEW this week, correct?
Oh, thumbs up. Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. I agree with you here. Moving along, WWE NXT. They are a few weeks away from NXT TakeOver. A lot of big angles cut on tonight's show. Obviously, a big one for WrestleMania. I want to know where you stand because obviously when we got female energy on the daily, I want a female perspective on the hot females. Because when I see the Stan account, you see those Stan accounts, Teddy, you know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking about.
Stan accounts, they have venom. They are frothing at the mouth saying that WWE can't stop pushing Charlotte Flair. Why is Charlotte Flair in the biggest match of WrestleMania for the women right now? At least that's the one that a lot of people are talking about. Charlotte Flair interrupting Rhea Ripley at the Performance Center. I thought this was in terms of one of the angles, I really, really enjoyed this on tonight's show. And interrupted her. I love the setup in the Performance Center. It didn't feel like a different show. It felt very close to Full Sail. And so she comes out. And the fans are saying, you don't go here, using that mean girl. And she cuts them off. Perfect line. No, I don't go here. I'm made here. I made this. So Charlotte is holding her own, even though some fans are getting off on her. But in 2020, to me, it just seems like modern day Heat. And of course, her and Rhea Ripley get into it. A figure four around the ring post. Old school move. And she did it with heels on. Designer heels on. What do you think of Charlotte and Rhea Ripley here, stirring it up, heading into WrestleMania, wherever that may be?
I love it. Fans saying that Charlie just keeps getting pushed or shoved down our throats. I mean, what would the match be if it was Rhea versus, I don't know, Dana Brooke? It wouldn't mean much. You know what I mean? Someone like Charlotte can put anyone over. I know Rhea doesn't need that. Rhea's already huge. She gets a huge pop. But I love that. They're two very dominant females. And, man, I don't think you can get any better than Rhea and Charlotte.
William T. Wage is saying the last segment of NXT was the best. We'll get into that. That was violent and wild. We'll talk about that in just a few minutes here. But I do agree with you here that this match wouldn't mean nearly as much for Rhea Ripley if she wasn't taking on Charlotte, who, whether you like it or not, is one of the best female performers of the generation. Like everyone talks about the women's evolution, all these things. Like, you want to talk about all those big matches that WWE has put to the forefront. Charlotte has been a part of it. And I heard a lot of fans say, this should be Bianca Belair. I'm just tired of it. I think a lot of it is just like short-term attention span. If you really look at it, there's very few women in wrestling that are nearly as talented as her and have done it nearly as much as you without the credibility. Yes, everyone's saying, oh, she's only here because she's Ric Flair's daughter. That went out the window years ago.
Oh, yeah. That's old.
It's a kind of a moot point. And if you like somebody more, okay. But if you hate Charlotte Flair, guess what? They're doing their job.
She's doing her job.
They're not supposed to like her. Like that idea where fans feel like, well, they're not going to catch me. I'm just going to say this is bad booking. That's the concept. But I like it. I like what they're doing with Rhea Ripley. Does she have the same level of personality as Charlotte? No. Physically, though, they do look formidable. They do look like they can give each other a challenge here. I think with Charlotte, because she's so tall and is such a physical standout for the women, sometimes when you're in the ring, you buy that she could just womp on somebody. But then she does make it competitive and gives you a show. With Rhea, immediately I would believe, like, all right, these two hosses are going to beat the crap out of each other.
Oh, yeah. I agree.
Mm-hmm. Of the female matches going into WrestleMania this year, which one do you think has the most bite on it right now? Which one are you sinking your teeth into so far?
What else do we have? Remind me.
Of the women's matches for WrestleMania, we're talking Becky Lynch versus Shayna Baszler. We have a moving situation for the SmackDown Women's Championship. What do you think is going on here? While we're on the topic there,
I think to me it's between that Rhea and Charlotte versus Becky and Shayna. I mean, and then I think those two are definitely going to be great. Like you saw Shayna, right? At the
Yeah.
Elimination Chamber. That was, man, she got
You're in
me.
the minority there. I know a lot of fans that did not
I
enjoy that
know.
match.
I know. I enjoyed the heck out of it. I loved it.
All right, so you were a fan of it there.
Oh yeah.
Again, you can like the things that I like when people take a stance that isn't the popular one. So, yes, people say Kevin Durgan texting and saying, "Think the women's revolution is alive and well." But in NXT, I would say it is because right now for me, Rhea Ripley, Charlotte Flair, that's the hottest match featuring women right now at WrestleMania. I think it has the most fresh take on things, though it's Shayna and Becky haven't faced
That's
each
true.
other. I do think they're trying to do some things to introduce Shayna to a new audience that have either hit or not hit. I thought the biting in the neck thing was different and cool, but they haven't done enough to make you feel like. I'm not saying Becky Lynch needs to backpedal, but I need her to make it look like Shayna's going to give her trouble and not just brag her way out of it. That's the way I feel about it. While we're on NXT, it was a hot match, the title match situation with the Broserweights taking on the Undisputed Era. Now, Broserweights are the new NXT Tag Team Champions, capturing these at TakeOver off the UE. Before this match, Undisputed Era had to deal with Velveteen Dream up in this big mantle place. You see this before where William Regal will come out and everyone's fighting in the ring and they'll be like, "This is it, War Games!" like pedestals.
Yes.
That comes in later in the night. But he's up there cutting a promo on them. It was kind of cool. And basically he has his eyes set on Adam Cole, Bebe. And I think that may be the title match for NXT at TakeOver, or unless they want to add somebody else to it. But right now it looks like it'll be Dream and Adam Cole. So they're kind of teasing that and going off what they did at the cage match last week. The title match between these two teams was awesome. Another banger match. Left and right, beating the snot out of each other. Roderick Strong, Adam Cole, you want to get in this? They pulled the Eddie Guerrero move. With the ref's back turn, trying to get someone out of the ring, and Roderick getting in the ring, and he's about to hit Pete Dunne. Pete Dunne puts his hands up, claps his hands, falls on his back.
Nice.
And then Matt Riddle's like, motioning the ref, he's like, "Oh, he gave him a super kick. And so they get tossed out of the ring. Big pop from the PC crowd. And then the match goes on, and the Broserweights win. It was a fun way to go into a commercial, too. So they did cool angles. Instead of just like one guy gets thrown out of the ring, this match continues after the break. No, like they did this into the break with the split scene. I thought it was a really, really clever way to go to commercial. I enjoyed it. Great main event. But there was more because this was coming up at about 8:50. So I'm like, what's next? Tommaso Ciampa comes out right before they go to their last commercial break. On the Tron, when he comes back, it's Johnny Gargano. They have this long, drawn-out feud. Do you think this one's going on too far? How do you feel about Gargano and Ciampa?
I love it. I mean, Ciampa did what he did to Gargano, and now it's Gargano's turn. I want to see where that goes.
Yeah, it was a wild situation. They brawl through the Performance Center. They throw weights at a mirror. All right, they smash posters over each other. They fight up to that pedestal that Velveteen Dream was on. They remove the racks. They tease going off this thing. They knock down the referee, and a Death Valley driver from the pedestal through the announce table below is how we end NXT. Johnny Gargano laid out, but of course Tommaso Ciampa damaging himself. Will they even make it to NXT TakeOver, maybe in Tampa? Will they make it there? I enjoyed it. This threw some gasoline that was needed on Gargano and Ciampa. I thought it was more like they've been doing the physical things, but so much of their feud has been based on these big street fight situations where they injure each other and send each other to the hospital. They've been doing that for years. So I was on the fence about this, but this one, it's got my thumbs up. I'm feeling the reversal of roles. Johnny now the villain, Tommaso Ciampa now the hero. I'm feeling it. They've corrected course with me on this one. If this match happened this Sunday, I would be on board. So thumbs up for NXT. Looks like we had a good episode of WWE, NXT, and AEW. So a good time. And let's see what fans are thinking here. Talking about that Becky Lynch Shayna Baszler match, Eddie texting and saying Baszler is going to beat the man. Who do you got winning that match right now?
Baszler.
Do you think it's a foregone conclusion? Is she going to get fed to this monster? Are we getting like that John Cena Brock Lesnar situation where it's just like a drawn out squash match?
I mean, I hope they go at it for a while, but I hope Baszler dominates. I'm really hoping for that.
Yeah. Other people texting here saying they loved it. They enjoyed this week's NXT. Scott George saying Gargano Ciampa too much for him. He's not feeling it here. Other people saying Stephen Chambers saying it's safe to say whoever loses Ciampa or Gargano goes to the main roster. Well, they flirted with that before, but then they had injury issues.
Yeah.
Never sunk their teeth into it. And so as we get into this thing here, update though, if you're just joining us, we will have more information tomorrow about the status of WrestleMania in Tampa Bay, as the mayor of Tampa is meeting with city officials about major events in that city. Of course, WrestleZone.com will have the latest on that as it develops up to the minute. And we can speculate as much as we want, but that is what we know right now. You want to take some questions? You want to jump into them? Want to just jump right into the questions with the fans here, Ted?
Let's do it.
All right. So maybe some of these gentlemen who don't have great social skills, these gentlemen wrestling fans, can learn some. All right, because the ladies are at the table, and I want you to act as such. Do not embarrass me.
I got you.
I know, Teddy, but I want to tell these wild animals I have what they should do. All right, guys, fire off your questions here for Teddy and I. But before we get into that, get your questions ready. Teddy, tell me about WrestFriends here. Tell me about what you've been doing. Iridium Fierro, I know her from my college radio days, but how did you guys come together? Were you guys friends before this? And then you're like, oh, wait, you like wrestling? We should do something together. How did it come together?
So me and Iridian, who I call Edie, so if I say Edie, don't get mistaken, guys, it's Iridian Fierro. We're cousins, actually. My parents are her godparents. So we kind of grew up together, not too close, but we did grow up together. And I don't know, we both realized that we started following each other on social media. I realized she watches wrestling. I watch wrestling. And I'm like, I don't know, what I've always liked growing up was I never had anyone to talk about wrestling with. So when I saw that Edie watches it as well, I'm like, we have to do something about this. We have to start something where, two Latinas, women, and we're like, we have to start a YouTube channel. Actually, I wanted to start a podcast, and Edie's like, no, let's do YouTube. Let's jump right into it. And yeah, we're just two women that love to talk about wrestling. We love to watch it. We love to attend as many shows as we can. And yeah.
So the blog though has a different take on things. You guys are able to approach things from a completely different angle. I've seen you guys talk about, oh well, why is this person wearing that? Why are they wearing that? That is trash. And I'm not saying that women only care about what a guy wears, but there's certainly just a different perspective.
Yeah.
What a superstar, male or female, is going to wear, and different things like that, and looks and takes and how they carry their performance. I think the way a man would watch a very female-centric show on Lifetime Network, or The Bachelor, or as I know it, football for women. Like if they were watching that show, there'd be a different approach to it. What do you think is different about the way women are approaching WWE? The way a woman in your age group is coming in and watching WWE in the past years, because you know this.
Yeah.
There's a lot more women. There's a lot more gay men and gay women that are also kind of coming into wrestling in the past few years. And they're coming in, and what makes their approach different than the usual wrestling audience, male 18 to 34?
I just think we touch on subjects that other, like you said, regular fans don't, There are certain things I myself don't like. Like, I don't like the backstage gossip. Actually, maybe I like listening to it, but I don't like spreading it. I don't want our social medias to be about, oh, this went on between these two wrestlers and this wrestler cheated on this other person. I like hearing it, like I said, but I don't like to spread it. But yeah, I think we just like to touch on stuff that other people don't. Like, yeah, sometimes we do. What are they wearing? Why is their makeup so bad?
Can I ask this?
Go ahead.
Who has, in your opinion, the worst look right now? Not saying they're ugly, but like their choices in terms of their outfit, maybe what they're doing with their hair. And I'm not saying just the women, it could be the guys too.
Yeah.
But who do you're like, man, come on. You're $1 million talent. Why are you wearing that? Who told you could put that in your hair? Why are you doing that? Who is doing something that makes you just go like, why are you doing that when they walk out?
Before I answer your question, let me tell you one huge issue that I have is all that tanner that some of these that self-tanning, some of them, they just take it a little too far. Like, Carmella sometimes takes it a little too far. But to answer your question, Bayley. I don't like the way they do her makeup. I do not like and like you said, she's not ugly. I'm not saying Bayley's ugly. I love Bayley.
You just don't like the look.
But I don't like the look that they give her. She deserves better.
You ready to? Because you say it and you're like, I have to say it. All right, I have to back it up. Because that's a different thing when you talk about someone's looks. It's like some people think it's zero, but you have a different take on those things. So I appreciate it nonetheless. Edie's watching.
Edie said Bailey.
she agrees with you. Yes. I agree. Yeah.
Oh, I'm crying
The
a little.
tea's been spilled. Let's go right into questions here. People texting in. We had a question here about if WrestleMania gets moved, and we're just being hypothetical here. We're talking about it. We continue to follow that situation. I saw this question from several different people. They don't do it with a live crowd. Do they do it in a smaller building? And would you be okay with seeing WrestleMania in like a building with less than 1,000 people in it? I think so. I think it's gonna be cool because you still have the crowd element.
Yeah. Why not? Yeah. I mean, give us something.
Yeah. Oh no. Here's the thing. I don't. No one's telling me this, and I have no source in this. Purely speculative. WrestleMania is going to happen.
Okay.
Is it going to be in a football stadium? I don't know. Is it going to be in one venue? I don't know. Could this be in multiple different places at once? Possibly. There's a very distinct possibility of that. And so there's a lot of different things that are in movement here. I think if you're a fan, you shouldn't hold this against WWE, or for that fact, AEW could be in the same position.
Yeah.
Can't run a building. Or Ring of Honor has also said that they're following all the CDC guidelines. You think of all those people, they're going to lose money too. There's a lot of money that's going to be lost.
Lot of money.
So this is going to take a hit on a lot of forms of entertainment in the next few months, or at least the next month and a half or so, where it stands. And this certainly is something that's going to take some time to, even if the spread of the virus can be stemmed, the panic of it is also going to inflate all these things. So be safe. Wash your hands. As we say.
Wash your hands.
Wash your hands. Wash these hands. All right, let's get into questions here. We get into this. Stephen Chambers, we always have to ask this with the ratings tonight. What are the ratings going to be? Well, right now, AEW has been ahead of NXT significantly. Stephen Chambers says he picks NXT to be the winner tonight. Well, NXT had a strong show. I thought AEW, from what I've read, had a strong show. But, I mean, I don't feel the needle being moved nearly as much out of anything besides Lance Archer this week, right. which has been expected. We were supposed I believe Lance Archer was even advertised for last week, but for whatever reason, they didn't have him on the show. And spreading it out over 2 weeks is good on TV. Right now, I haven't seen AEW, so not making that call. But I see AEW having the ratings win for at least the foreseeable future. They're building up to that blood and guts match. Do you think that blood and guts match is going to draw a bigger rating than maybe the past few previous weeks, just simply because they're building up to it, and it's a huge spectacle cage match, almost a pay-per-view match on television?
Yeah, I think so. I definitely think so.
Mm-hmm. What is that the one thing in AEW you think that is the most important thing that they're pushing right now?
Yes, actually. That's all they're talking about.
Yeah, true. That makes sense. Let's get into questions here. Here's a good question. Bill Parson says, where do you think Brian Cage, Kelly Klein, and Su Yung will sign as free agents? All of them having some history. Kelly Klein she was the Ring of Honor Women's Champion. Tumultuous situation with her leaving there following an injury, and her saying that she wasn't compensated correctly, and maybe Ring of Honor wasn't caring for her. Very public, very nasty situation there. Brian Cage, formerly the Impact Wrestling Champion. It's been well known that he has some interest in AEW, but has been dealing with an arm injury for the past few months. Don't know when he'll be available. And Su Yung, she was a very prominent feature character for Impact Wrestling. Where would you want them to end up here? Free agents in wrestling is a bigger discussion now than it was 2 years ago.
Oh, yeah. I definitely want to see Brian Cage in AEW. People are talking about it a lot. Got me excited for that, to see Brian Cage in AEW. I think he would do great. He would dominate, actually.
He's a very large body guy, but he wrestles.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't think he'd be lost in the mix there physically with anyone. I do think he's a guy who, if he gets in the ring with a Moxley or a Jericho, you would believe that physically he could hold his own, but on the microphone he might have some trouble there.
Yes, so, I agree.
I'm not saying he cuts bad promos, but he's never a guy who's just been known for a great promo. He's been known for, I'm going to come out there, I'm going to have a great match, and then he backs it up and has a great match. So almost like Bret Hart. You knew Bret Hart, cool catchphrases, and Brian Cage has them, the Wolverine, the Machine, all these different things. Physically, he carries his work. So there's nothing wrong with that. There's plenty of characters that do. I could see him in AEW as well. Kelly Klein, it's an open book on her. I really think there's a lot of women stylistically that look like her in wrestling right now. There's been a lot of MMA crossover characters that have a similar vibe to her. I think AEW would be a better fit for her. I actually think if she stayed in Ring of Honor, it would have been a good thing, but I understand why she's not.
Yeah.
Her in WWE would be interesting, but I think she would need a new character role. She would need some new kind of presence, a new spin on her character.
Yes.
Su Yung, I don't change anything. I think that Death Bride character, that almost like a character out of a Japanese horror movie, is very, very entertaining, and that look is very wild. Impact did some fun things with it, some good things, some really weird, wacky, not so great things, but certainly, if you could bring her into WWE and pair her up with The Fiend, woo, I'll run up to the races.
Oh, nice, yeah.
All your goth girls are going to want to get themselves some Su Yung here. I think her in WWE as a supernatural character paired with The Fiend or with somebody else would be very, very entertaining. That's the way I see things kind of going. That's where I would put him. That's where I would put him.
I agree with the Kelly Klein too. WWE definitely, she would fit right in there.
Matt Petzel texting me. Matt asking, "Are you saying get these hands or wash? Are you saying wash these hands or get these hands?" I'm saying wash these hands first before you get these hands.
Yes.
People saying, I thought Cage signed with AEW. It's been up in the air as to whether or not he has. He has said that he hasn't signed with anyone, but many people have been led to believe that he has. Nothing confirmed.
Mm-hmm.
Let's put a question mark next to it, but with an asterisk of possibly. Yeah, let's go in that direction there. More questions kind of coming in as you guys are flowing through here. I got to scroll through here the bottom here. Sean Smith bringing this up here. We talk about the coronavirus.
Oh, yeah.
Actor Tom Hanks and his wife Rita Wilson have been confirmed to have the infection. They've been positively confirmed for that. We don't know their health status, but that is something we know. Saying America will never be the same. America's dad, Tom Hanks. Let's hope he's okay. Let's hope he's
okay.
Yeah. William T. Wages, I see Nia Jax interfering in Becky Lynch and BAYSZLER match. Nia Jax set for a return. How would you reintroduce Nia Jax into the mix in WWE?
Oh, man. I hope she doesn't interfere in Becky and BAYSZLER match. I don't know. I haven't been feeling Nia Jax since before she got injured.
What turns about her?
I don't know. I want to say I feel like she tries too hard. Yeah.
She doesn't have a natural presence on camera, is what you're saying.
Yeah, no, she doesn't.
Okay. Well, I've interviewed her. I think she works really hard. I think she stands out as a different performer for the women, which I think means more. You have a lot of big men. You do very few big women.
Yeah.
So I think her presence in the ring it makes her an attraction in that regard. Now, is there other women that some people think physically could do it better than her? That's up for debate. And did she get a lot of heat for being in matches where people suppose that she injured, she botched, and hurt this person? And I've heard a lot of people hold it against her, but it's wrestling. It's
wrestling, yeah.
Yeah, it's part of it. So, in general, people can go where to check out WrestFriends?
Instagram, and it's at WrestFriends. Twitter at WrestFriends. We're trying to get our Twitter game up. But more than anything, check out our podcast and our YouTube channel, which is as well at WrestFriends. Actually, our podcast is called We Are WrestFriends.
Different. So if you're looking for the podcast, look up We Are WrestFriends.
Yes.
Edie joining us off camera here is saying SmackDown is coming to Chicago in 2 weeks. Do we think that gets canceled? Yeah, what happens with all the events? Not just WrestleMania, but what happens with this constant flow of touring events all around the world? Who knows? And market to market, it can be very, very different. Also, if you live in middle America and smaller cities, be prepared to have some wrestling in your town. Maybe WrestleMania goes down in Omaha, Nebraska.
That's true.
Maybe they move it to a football stadium out there if you want to fly in. But we'll see what happens. So we'll see what happens. Thank you guys so much for checking out the show, especially late here on a Wednesday night. If you're with us live, don't forget to share the link with your rest friends that you have out there. And you can put it in Facebook groups. You can do it as a watch party as well. If you guys want to share it, look at watch party. That'll restream the show from start to finish on your Facebook feed, so you and your friends can enjoy it on your own time, or they can enjoy it. You can also check out the podcast, WrestleZone Radio. A big increase in listenership in the last month. Thank you guys so much. Really, really appreciate that. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe. Also, the show is now available on YouTube. Just simply search the WrestleZone YouTube channel.
Can I say something real quick, Kevin? I'm so sorry. I want to correct myself. It's the WrestFriends podcast. I don't know why I said that wrong.
WrestFriends.
WrestFriends podcast.
I'm going to text right away about this. It's all right. the WrestFriends podcast. Go check it out and check out our show. Plenty of podcasts for you to devour all your wrestling through your ears with. Thank you guys so much for watching the show. We will return tomorrow with a regular episode of WrestleZone Daily in the late afternoon. Robert DeFields will be with me as well. When we watch wrestling, and we're so concerned about everything going on in the world, we're still going to have wrestling. And the WWE Network, they're not going to cancel that.
True.
You can watch all the old stuff on it. If you want to calm down and not have a panic attack, calm down. When you watch wrestling, enjoy wrestling.
Enjoy wrestling. I agree.
I agree.